Vang me manasi pratishthitam, mano me vachi pratishthitam, aviravirma edhi, vedasyama anistha, shrutam me ma prahasihi, anena dhitena horatran, samdadhami Ritam vadishyami, satyam vadishyami, tanmamavatu, tadvaktaramavatu, avatu mam, avatu vaktaram, avatu vaktaram. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So we are in the 454 by Vamadeva Gautama. In the hymn of Savitar, we read first two already, but I will read through again. Let me read the hymn. Abhut devach savita vandiyo nuna idanim ahna upavachiyon ribhich viyoratna bhajati manavebhiyach Shreshtham no atra dravinam yatha dadahat. Devebhyo viprathamam yajniyebhyo. Amritatvam suvasi bhagam uttamam. Ad id damanam savitar viurnushe. Anuchina jivita manushebhyach. Achittiyat chakrima daiviye jane dinaich dakshaich prabhuti purushatvata deveshu cha savitar manusheshu cha tuvam no atra svatat anagasach. Napramiye savitur daiviyasyatat yatha vishvam bhuvanam dharayishyati yat prithivya Variman asuangurich, Varshman divach, Suvasi, Suvati satyam asyatat, Indrajyashthan brihadbhiyach, Parvatebhyach, Kshayan ebhyach, Suvasi pastiyavatach, Yatha yatha patayanto viye mire, evaivatasthuch savitach savayate. Yete trich ahan savitach savasach. Dive dive saubhagam asuvanti, indro dyava prithivi sindhuch adbhich. Adityaich no, aditich sharma yamsat. You can feel that the last verse is changed to Trishtup. First 5 were Jagati, 12 syllabic, and the last was 11 syllabic meter. So we read first two. I will just go through them very briefly. Abhud devach savita vandiyo nona idani mahna upavachayon ribhich. Viyoratna bhajati manavebhyach shreshtham no atra dravinam yatha dadat. The god Savitar became for us worthy of adoration. Now, before the day, he should be called upon by man. It's interesting, this assumption. He is worthy of our adoration before a day. What is this day before the day? This day is the day of the supramental realization. He should be called upon man. Before supramental is realized, Savitar is to be invoked constantly by man, by those men who are heroic souls engaged in manifestation. As he is one who distributes the 7 jewels to man, thus he should be established. Thus he should establish the best wealth for us here, because he will bring all 7 levels of consciousness shining through our being. Number two, Deve bhiyo hi prathamam yajniye vihach. Amritatvam suvasi bhagamuttamam ad id damanam savitar viurnushe anuchi nadi jivita manushe bhiyach. For you indeed first create a supreme portion of delight and immortality for the gods, worthy of sacrifice. We spoke about this last time. And then you open up to man their portion of delight, or Savitar, which they may experience in their successive lives. Now, it is viewed that our lives are here to our bhagya. Bhagya is destiny, is literally translated is that which we have to experience as delight. The portion of the divine delight is being distributed to all creatures in the world in particular fashion and manner and quantity and quality. So we all get our specific portion of delight, and that delight which is assigned to us to experience from the divine is our destiny. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, Bhagya and Bhaga. And Bhaga is there is the hymn to Bhaga Savitar, Savitri Bhaga, who is the one who distributes this delight. And Bhagavan, as you know, Sri Krishna is the Lord of the delight, which is being assigned to the souls for their share of delight, share of enjoyment in this manifestation. So it is already presumed, this vision is presumed that we are all here to partake of this share of enjoyment, of soma, of food. Yes, looking at Gita Shri. This is that particular portion of delight assigned to us. And here we stopped, and I will take number 3. Achittiya chakrama daiviye jane dinaich dakshaich prabhuti purushatvata deveshu cha savitar manusheshu cha tuvamno atra suvatad anagasah. If we, being man, as we are in our nature, have done something which has no sense in the eyes of the divine nature, because of our weak discrimination or insolent egoism, you, O Savitar, amend this mistake and make us sinless here on earth among gods and among men. Achitti, something which is unconscious. I put here the whole stuff for you. You can always check it. And now I will just go through the text. Achitti yat, whatever achitti, chakrama, whatever we did as unconscious, daiviye jane, in the divine birth. Interesting. Jana is man, beings who are born, creatures, and also birth. Something, the process in which we take the physical body. So in this divine embodiment, if we did something of unconscious or something which is not of the highest divine nature, let us say it this way, dinaich dakshaich, with weak discriminations, prabhuti, violence, purushatvata, because of our human-like nature, deveshucha savitach, or savitar, in the gods, manusheshucha, and human beings or mental beings, Tovamno atra, you here, us, nach, atra here, suvatat, create, or extract or press out as anagasach, as those who do not make mistakes, sinless. Agas is an interesting word. It's a Vedic word, only in Rigveda, Atharva Veda. Transgression, offense, injury, sin, fault. Anagasach Vayam is those who do not have that. We do not deviate. We do not take anything which is not from its right time and space. So to be sinless, true, among gods and among men, simultaneously is the goal of the realization of the dynamic truth. It means that all the things, divine and human, are already in harmony. For how can one be sinless or true in the context of heavenly and earthly life at the same time? Moreover, it seems that there is no truer harmony of things is possible, truer harmony. I do not know what I meant to say. It was written long ago. Heaven and earth have to be equal and one, or they were as they were at the beginning of creation in their supramental union. So at the beginning, as you remember, heaven and earth, our physical and mental nature, are one. And then when creation took place, they got split, and heaven became the golden upper part, and the earth became silver, the lower part. And in between this range of life, prana, antariksha, where the sacrifice is taking place. So we live in this cocoon, or in this garbha, hiranya garbha, in this golden egg, which is protecting us from the abyss. So the soul is evolving here within this mental and physical nature. So the harmony between mental and physical, between those who are born on earth and those who are in heaven, between heaven and earth, is the fundamental kind of realization. Deveshu cha savitach manosheshu cha, yes, make us sinless, or those who are not falter, or those who do not stumble, do not make mistakes. Interestingly, I've just reviewed this idea of Deveshu Manusheshu, why these two are mentioned always, Devas and Manushas. Devas are from root Dev, to shine, among shining beings and among beings who possess the mind, manas. And in that sense, it's kind of interesting because those who possess manas, mental beings, it is all evolutionary being, and manas is that evolutionary stage where consciousness can be fixed upon any object of sense. And that is manas. Yes, manas, mind, is the capacity of consciousness to be fixed upon any object of sense. So there is one type of creatures which can do that. They can choose on what to fix their consciousness, even if it is harmful to their nature. And there's different type of beings, devas, who are shining beings, who are kind of emitting consciousness, light of consciousness. They are not manavas, they are not manushas. They are different beings. They do not select on what to fix their consciousness, as it were, at will. It is not their major characteristic, at least. Their major characteristic is to illumine and to give force of consciousness into the action. So these are kind of two names for the gods and man. Quite interesting. Here I quote from the Divine, the second page, very famous quotation, but I want to review it differently a bit. Kind of, it's important even in this situation, what is happening in the world today. For all problems of existence are essentially problems of harmony. They arise from the perception of an unsolved discord and the instinct of an undiscovered agreement or unity. It's not yet discovered, it will be. The rest, to rest content with an unsolved discord is possible for the practical and more animal part of man, but impossible for his fully awakened mind. It's something very interesting. And usually, even these practical parts only escape from the general necessity either by shutting out the problem or by accepting a rough, utilitarian, and unillumined compromise. We constantly speak about the consensus. That is how we, with our imperfect minds and much lower needs, try to find the harmony. For essentially, all nature seeks a harmony, life and matter in their own sphere, as much as mind in the agreement of its perceptions. The greater the apparent disorder of the materials offered, or the apparent disparateness, even to inconceivable opposition, or the elements that have to be utilized, the stronger is the spur. I will read them again. The greater the apparent disorder of the materials offered, or the apparent disparateness, even to reconcilable opposition, or the elements that have to be utilized, the stronger is the spur that it drives towards a more subtle and puissant order. The stronger is the spur, and it drives towards a more subtle and puissant order that can normally be the result of a less difficult endeavor. So it's this dynamism of nature which accepts all the difficulties and oppositions, and even in irreconcilable opposition, yes, and even the most apparent disorder of materials she will accept, because it creates this possibility of arriving at more subtle and puissant order. So what we see in the world today is exactly this. We are trying to arrive at more subtle and puissant order that can normally be the result of a less difficult endeavor. So we arrive at much easier ways of dealing with ourselves and nature through these contradictions. This passage says, in other words, that we all willingly or unwillingly are in the process of manifestation by the dynamic truth, which is recognized by the nature as the process of harmonization.
I didn't understand, Vladimir.
No?
I didn't understand this contradiction at all.
Vladimir, can I just say this in a simple way?
Yes,
There are
please.
no shortcuts allowed.
That is oversimplification.
Shortcuts will lead to a less subtle solution and less powerful. That's what I have understood.
Absolutely. So this is the dialectical kind of view. It's a dialectical mind, basically. So we need the contradiction.
What did you say, Kinshuk? Shortcuts will do what?
Shortcuts will lead to a less subtle and less powerful solution.
True. That I agree.
Yeah, this is what I think he's saying something very complex and beautiful here. When I read it today, I was thinking, this is what is needed for the world today. To rest content with an unsolved discord is possible for the practical and more animal part of man. to rest content with an unsolved discord is possible for the practical and more animal part of man, but impossible for his fully awakened mind. The mind is seeking higher harmony. It cannot be rested with some unsolved or some kind of consensus or some kind of partial harmonization or smaller kind of understanding. We agree to disagree. It is not content with this. It wants full agreement. And usually even his practical parts only escape from the general necessity either by shutting out the problem or by accepting a rough utilitarian and unillumined compromise. This is exactly where we are today. Just look at this. He speaks about us and all our problems today. That's what we do. We shut out the problem. Or accepting some rough utilitarian and unillumined compromise. Okay, well, what can we do? Yes, this is how it is. The world is like this. But essentially, all nature seeks a harmony. Life and matter in their own sphere, as much as mind in the arrangement of its perceptions. That has to be all harmonized. Nature in the vital and mental form also has to be harmonized. Our perceptions are to be harmonized with life and matter. The greater the apparent disorder of the materials offered, the greater the apparent, interesting, Sherbind always puts some kind of, the greater the apparent disorder of the materials offered, or the apparent disparateness, yeah? Even to irreconcilable opposition of the elements that have to be utilized, the stronger is the spur, and it drives towards a more subtle and puissant order than can normally be the result of a less difficult endeavor. So the endeavor has to be difficult. The more the endeavor is difficult, the greater the harmony is coming. And it's one sentence, right?
Now I understood it, yes.
Well, so you see this problems of harmony, this sentence which we always quote is followed by another sentence explaining why we are in all these difficulties. And the difficulties are not going to be less. They are going to grow in the quantity and quality because the harmony which we are seeking is the absolute.
So what is the spur? He's talking about the stronger is the spur.
Drive, let us say.
No, that is the meaning. I understand the meaning. But what is it symbolizing? What is the reality behind this apparent line?
I think this is our Savitar who is impelling everyone towards the truth. That's what I...
Forward? Or is it hinting at a change in our nature?
Say it again?
Is it hinting, what I'm trying to say is, how I'm reading this sentence, the greater the apparent disorder of the materials offered or the apparent disparateness, the stronger is the spur. So the more, separate, the more disorder there is, the stronger is the drive. So my question is, what is it that drives? Is he hinting at we have to change the way we look at things by changing our nature?
Well, there is something in us which cannot accept it. He simply said here that it's impossible to fully awakened mind. But truly speaking, that fully awakened mind is Savitar in us. Yes, there is someone in us, some drive, divine drive, which nature obeys, and nature seeks harmonization of all the parts, because that drive within will not accept the disparity and,
Unless we align with that.
unless, yes, he says, unless we are shutting out or yes, for some practical reason or incapacity of our being to really accept this or deal with it, we can do that, yes, temporarily, but it is not a solution, yes. We will come back to it again and again until it is solved.
Yeah, so that's we're coming back again and again into it. I'm sorry I'm taking up so much time, but I
No,
just want to
yes,
understand this point.
very
Is
important.
coming back again and again to it means we have to expand and grow in our mind, align with that Savitar, and therefore there's a shift in the way we perceive things. That that is all part of the spur. That is the action required, uh, and then it drives towards this higher harmony,
Right.
and it
And
leads higher
right.
harmony.
But what Mother says in other places about the anti-divine forces, for example, or darker forces, as they are needed because the divine is using them. Yeah, this is a divine utility because they kind of highlight or no highlight, shadow out or kind of make very clear to us where we are weak and where we have to work. Yeah? So they show us our incapacities, impossibilities, and we grow in the inner consciousness. And this is happening now, very much so in the world. And you see the rise of the darker forces of domination, forces of no discussion, no harmonization. I said how it is, and that is how it is. So these are the forces which are triggering in us that spur, and you can see people are awakening slowly everywhere. They start speaking different ways, different languages. You could recognize them. I've listened today to few kind of overviews, and they were so conscious, so deep. There is consciousness is already reaching to the surface of this greater harmony. There's no other way for us to survive or to go on other than this. Yeah?
When you were reading it, what I thought of, what if you shut your eyes to something and that's how you accept it, that there's things that can still exist that need to be solved or need to be reconciled or need to be. And so for me, like just my experience when Barack Obama was president, and it was like, yes, we have like this wonderful race relations. We're finally realizing everybody is the same. But what we didn't see was there was this whole underbelly of stuff that still needed to be exposed. And I think it was shocking to know that that still existed, but now it's working its way out. And I'm hopeful by this, that it says, okay, it has to be exposed so that you can recognize it and it can be worked out. And that spur, I thought, like comes from outside of us. Like that's it's the divine spur that is gonna
Right. It's outside
that
and it is inside. We all start recognizing that we cannot just insist on our own way of being and doing only. We have to see the harmony with all. And this is something which we are not totally ready for. But it's demanding from us nowadays. This situation is demanding from us this higher perception of things. And I see it happening already here and there. They kind of, it's so pleasant to see. So the despair and the disorder and disunion is also a very powerful tool to bring us back to true values of life. Yeah? That's what I want to say. Even wars, even things which are causing a lot of pain and death. They are also the means by which nature is arriving at this higher necessity of harmony. Human beings do not understand otherwise. Their minds are very small, very egoistic, very closed to their own, necessities. But here they open up. They're broken from their shells, and they have to look for some greater solutions. So there is no other way to proceed, it seems, because we are what we are. But there is a drive in us, and this drive I wanted to use for our Savitar hymn. Who is this Savitar? Why he is always Suvatat, notice, Suvati, Savitar, always this root Su, it's compelling, impelling, urging movement, yeah? It's this drive, constant drive forward, constant drive to a higher capacity of the being. In every verse you will see Suvati, Savita Suvati, Savach, Savaya. So you will hear all these every verse. Yeah? And this root Su is amazing in one regard, that Sunoti, Sunute, fifth class, and Suvati and Sauti, all these different classes, root, have one thing in common: to bring to birth, to distill, to extract, to press out, to manifest. So there's something has to be distilled, some quintessential qualities to be found in the process of this evolution. In time and space, we are distilling the divine qualities in us. We are refining our nature, as it were. This is a very deep idea. It's not a kind of primitive idea of the Veda. Refining our nature by the moving forward of Savitar, by constantly urging us to move forward, to go to greater and greater heights. Here in the next verse we will see it again. Napramiye savitur daiviyas yatat yatha vishvam bhuvanam dharayishyati yat prithivya variman asu angurich varshman divach suvati satyam asyatat. That power of the divine Savitar can be diminished by none. That spur nobody can stop. For he will always be sustaining the whole universe. What the God with his perfect fingers, so Angurich is, impels onto the wideness of the earth and the height of the heaven, that is his truth. So these fingers, interesting idea, fingers and hands, he has these golden hands and these perfect fingers. It is something which is pervading, supporting all the separated beings in their own selfishness and their own shells. It kind of reaches out to all, supporting all, moving all forward. And nobody can diminish this power of Savitar. None can diminish his power, for it is the power which sustains all. It is not a part of force produced by any of them who constitute that all, but it comes from the beyond. The divine is constantly sustaining the manifestation. We think that we are independent beings existing by our own means. It's not so at all. There is someone here always, fresh and new, always fresh, always fully conscious and powerful, which sustains all our movements, all our decisions, all our failures. Yes, he gives sanction to all what is happening here, and nothing can happen without his consent or his urge, push. Nature is just executive power of his own urge. I will go a little forward Indrajyeshthan brahadbhyah parvatebhyah, kshayan ebhyah, suvasi, again suvasi, pastyavatah, yatha yatha patayanto vire, evaivatastu savitah, savayate, again savayate. Suvati, Suvasi, Savaya, Savitah, always Rutsu. You urge those for whom the best is Indra, to whom to move towards the vast mountains, providing them with their dwelling spaces and supply. However they may disperse flying away, they still will simply stay in your urging power or Savitar. It needs some work. Indrajyeshtha is the Bahuvrihi compound. Those for whom Indra is the leader. In other words, those Aryans, according to Sayana. Aryans are those noble souls who are seeking higher manifestation, and Indra is that lightning, who seek the assistance and guidance of Indra. They want to go to the beyond. Savitar is urging them towards the vast mountains again, the high mental regions of the higher and illumined mind, where they can receive the flashes of Indra descending from above. To them he gives shelter and supply of knowledge and power. Stalls with cows and horses. Usually these are Pastiyavatah stalls, where the cows and horses stay. And in whatever way they are dispersed in their movement in the universe, they stay as if immobile in his consciousness power for Savitar, for him to urge them and to compel them to move. It's as if it needs some nicer wording. It's difficult to word these things. Kshayan Pastiyavatah, it's interesting here word. These dwelling places with stalls can be also translated as abodes for the extraction of soma, which can be seen as the esoteric meaning, because in the next verse the extraction of soma is mentioned, and soma is actually the product of Savitar, again from Rutsu, soma, is mentioned as the three pressings of soma. In the next verse we will see. He gives them a secured space within this insecure manifestation. Within this insecure manifestation, they have some secure space like Hiranyagarbha. He creates for them secure spaces for extraction of soma, for pressing out soma, for the gods. And gods are higher universal powers of ours, belongs to us. And they have to be invoked by this distilling the delight, the truth, the ambrosia, the amrita of our existence. Soma is the product of Savitar's pressing. Therefore, it can be translated as he creates for them space and time in this manifestation where they can open up for his pressings. So these Indrajyeshthas, these people who choose Indra as their leader, as the best, this lightning of the intuitive consciousness from above, they are led by Indra. These could be also gods and all human beings who choose Indra as their leader. They are given by Savitar the means in time and space to make this distillation, extraction of soma, of amrita into this manifestation. So they are growing in quality of their being, or what we said before, they are cultivating the earth, yes? They're cultivating their bodies to become more receptive of the divine. And the final verse. Ye te trich ahan savitach savasach. Again, savasach. Another word for pressings. Dive saubhagam asuvanti. Again, surut. Indro diava prithivi sindhuch adbhich. Adityaich no aditich sharma yamsat. Those of your triple pressings, O Savitar, during the day, there are 3 oblations of Soma, 3 offerings of Soma yagas. Yes? During the day, morning, daytime, and evening, should bring us a supreme delight day by day. Indra, heaven and earth, and the ocean with their waves, and Aditi and her sons Adityas should give us a peaceful protection, or peaceful, blissful protection. Sri Aurobindo translates Sharman as many times as bliss and peace. I will not go into this because it's already overload. And I don't want us to lose the track of Savitar. So this idea, maybe, Savitar represents the dynamic realization of the divine in manifestation. He brings into the play of time and space, Niveshayan, the mortals and the immortals. For their interaction here in the triple world of mind, life and body, into Hiranyagarbha, and thus manifests all the varieties and potentialities in the divine manifestation. He is the force that is urging all to move towards their highest perfection in the dynamic unfolding of the world. His golden hands and perfect fingers are important features, for they arrange and distribute all the components of the One according to the dynamic truth in all things. He is the supreme involved in rising to the supreme uninvolved. He is supreme involved who is rising to the supreme uninvolved and thus embracing the night from both sides. He is also depicted as moving by the dark spaces towards the light, removing all the obstacles and urging the sun to appear. And sun to appear is the supramental manifestation to come into being. This is the verse from the previous hymn, what we read before. Apamivam badhate veti suryam abhikrishnena rajasadyam ranoti. Okay, this is the whole hymn. A very short hymn, 6 verses. So this spur, this drive, nobody can diminish. It will be always there. This is the divine drive. This is the meaning, the aim, the intention of this manifestation. That intention cannot be changed. The surface, the means of manifesting it can be different, yes? But the drive will stay and will always lead us forward. This is the Savitar. All right, I will stop here. We are not used to this idealistic mind, yes? We want something concrete. Tell us where we are. Don't go there somewhere. To this whole thing, viewing.
I just want to say that not disagreeing with the higher meaning of all of this, but the imagery, having been a goat herder of cows and stalls and golden and perfect fingers and extracting soma 3 times a day, really I relate to as milking, as extracting what the cow has to give twice or 3 times a day with your fingers. So that image really pulls together for me, not to change the spiritual meaning, but it just has a very clear imagery for me.
No, even that also has to have its place in the truth. Definitely, physicality will not be different from what is there in the spiritual being. Definitely. How else? Why milk? Why taking, giving? Uh, yeah, it's it's not possible just by itself, by mistake, by what? By evolution, because we need to be in the physical body. Why do we need to be in the physical body? It doesn't really answer the question. Yeah. Unless we make a shortcut and shut out the question and go for utilitarian solution. But the mind is,
Vladimir,
yes,
sorry,
go ahead.
sorry, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No,
Oh,
no.
oh, sorry. Okay. So I had three imageries or impressions while we were discussing this question of spur. So the first impression I had is that picture postcards are not acceptable, and it has to be a masterpiece. So this is, in a sense, I got an idea that there is always going to be an unreachable perfection, which is the work that Savitar is probably putting us towards. And that unreachable perfection will imply that we mix up all kinds of opposite paints and opposite colors that don't match, and bring harmony into them. And we build this masterpiece, and it never ends. The other sense I got was that possibly human beings are here to create disharmony, in the sense that without us, nature would have been completely harmonious. But we are here to create disharmony and therefore bring about a greater perfection and a better masterpiece or something. This is the whole sense of what I got from this paragraph.
Nice.
I have another question now. But first, thank you, because I was making my notes for the ethical dilemma of sacrifice. And today, whatever came up, bits and pieces are there in my notes, because I was looking at life divine and the delight of existence. There's a chapter, the problem, and the delight of existence, the solution. And it kind of, my God, it was just, I felt like today's session was just for me. So, and then the soma thing also I was noting down, because there are two words that comes up, madhu and soma. Like madhu, like even a wind blowing or something like that, we feel that it creates the delight in us. But in soma, they usually use the word pressing. So the pressing denoting the effort that one has to put in. So it has to be very conscious effort. So uh, soma does, just like if we are doing it automatically, it doesn't happen. Something consciously done, anything, whatever our work, whether it is cooking to any mundane thing, the moment that effort comes in, it becomes so. So I was reading that, and it was so beautiful. So this whole process itself, when you talked about the spur, so every time we are moving and there are obstacles, then there is an effort that we put in, and that the choice within us whether we want to overcome it or not. And that was like, that element is very beautiful. So my question is, so what is the difference between the force of Agni and Savitar? There's something here, because the moment you started with Savitar, I'm finding in myself some difference, some change is happening, and it's making us all creative. Or I don't know, like, no, I see it in our group also.
Very
The
nice,
things that
very
are
nice.
coming up.
Very, very good question and very difficult to answer. you feel the shift from Agni hymns to Soma to Savitar, and this shift we have to fix. It's a intangible experience. It's an intangible thing which is of great value to our perception, our knowledge, our consciousness development. That's what we did in the IPI, in the Indian Psychology Institute with Matthias for decade. We studied, hymns to Agni only, and then we shifted to Indra and only Indra, and we felt the difference. Yeah, and then we took Savitar and Surya, and we even feel difference between Surya and Savitar. Yeah? You start feeling it. It's kind of experience or something. You know what it is, but you don't have words to say it, and then you are looking for the words or waiting for the words to come and to formulate that difference or that experience in you. And that is, I think, very valuable for us, for our development. It generates the whole bunch of new ideas, fresh looks at the world, fresh perception of the world. Yes, that's what we are looking for. We don't want to know what ancients were doing or thinking. Yeah? We want to change, and so that's why we come to these texts to learn from them something new for us. I'm glad that you feel the difference, really glad, because it's very tangible. It's like you are lifted up, so to say. You are now not on earth anymore. You are looking from heaven to earth, yeah? If with Agni we looked from earth to heaven always, yeah, then we are looking other way around, looking from up down and wide and everything.
Vladimir, may I say something? I don't know, while you were reading it, this imagery became like a cinema for me. And I saw this, what Dipti said about Agni. I just felt this Agni's fire of aspiration just raising us. The first level is this Agni aspiration. It's just raising us to that level of Savitar, and he's, with his golden hands, he's holding the reins as the horses are galloping. So he's holding these hard leather reins, which is us, in union, in harmony. And he's driving us towards the light, whether we like it or we don't. He's just driving us there, that you're open now. This is what I can give you. Come with me.
Very nice. I like this, whether you like it or not, because truly speaking, it is so. Yes, if you don't like it, suppose you don't like the light, then you will be used as a darkness to to trigger the light. So you will be on the other side of the fence doing the job of the divine anyhow. It's as Sri Krishna says to Sri Aurobindo in Alipur jail, yes, when they met, Sri Aurobindo came out and he said this, that Krishna revealed to him the secret that everybody does his work. Even those who fight against him, they're doing his work, but they don't know about it. So this is how it is being used. The divine is very clever, so to say. It uses everyone, even those who are against him.
For me, something else came up when Deepti asked this question. Agni, I see as the power of transformation, self-giving and growth through transformation from bottom up. Whereas Savitar is wideness and movement. You know, it's moving, it's a spur. So it pushes us to move ahead, to progress. So while one is towards transformation, the other is growth towards progress. So in that sense, there is a kind of a similarity to their functions, if one might say such, restrictive words. You cannot restrict what they're doing. But that's what came up, that Agni is a transformating power. It transforms and purifies. It's purification and growth. And Savitar is more movement, pushing to grow wide, expand, and all encompassing towards harmony.
Yeah, the idea is that Agni and Surya, they join. Yes, this is the highest idea of the Veda. They belong to the same source. Only Surya and Savitar are uninvolved and being involved, yeah? So descending power, whereas Agni is involved and evolving Godhead. Yeah? He is the one who is got involved into the darkness, and from there he grows. So it's just a manner we are trying to find the formulation for our mind to bridge to that reality, yes, always. And once in a while it happens, and the Rigveda did this, created this wording, bridge, which our surface mind may understand. And we are looking for our own formulations. It's very good that you do this. You have to make sense of this difference between two sources of the divine. One is involved, another is uninvolved. Involved is Shaivik power, Shaiva, Rudra, and Agni is his son, yes, holding on his shoulders the whole nature, pushing forward, also pushing, transforming. And the other is Savitar, who is original, so to say, supermind, reaching out and penetrating the whole world, supporting its movements, from extracting all the delight, which is true delight, ananda, yeah, amrita of the divine, and bringing it into this play. This world would not move an inch if there would be no delight in every movement. Yeah? Delight is the fuel of movement of the worlds, of the stars. The Soma who is feeding the stars to move and to shine. It is that Soma which makes all of us move and live and look for a better world. If Soma would not be there, there would be no world. So that extraction of Soma and putting Soma into the flame of Agni, who will take it and increase its capacity, will feel more and more the divine presence here, and looking for more in every being. It is this kind of mysterious relationship between the divine involved and uninvolved. Again, these are words. It cannot express precisely the truth, just points to that direction. There's something there which we have to experience or feel, or the shift, that shift which Deepti said is so important. I can feel the shift in myself, yeah. And it is the most valuable thing from all these readings, to feel the difference between these two, and to feel the kind of complementarity is already mental development or formulation. Yeah.
Vladimir, just one small question. What was that part about Indra? Those who follow Indra, they may want to fly away, but Savitar will still keep them in check and hold. What was that? What was that trying to say?
Well, no, he will let them rise to the higher realms. Yes,
Right.
all those. And let me check with the verse since you ask. Indra Jyeshthan, yeah. No, Brahadbhyah Parvatebhyah Dayam Ebhyah Suvasi Pastiyavatach. For them he creates the bodies, the dwelling places, and the power and knowledge. He gives to them those who choose Indra as their guide, as the best for their drive. And wherever they are spread in the world, does not matter whatever form they may take, wherever they stay, so evaivatastroch, thus indeed they stay, Savitar savayate, for the Savitar to push them, to urge them forward. It's as if they do not move without Savitar urging. They will not make an inch of movement if Savitar would not make them move. It is on that level. Well, it's a mystery of our life and movement, and just look at us. We are moving somewhere, we are going. Every day we are waking up, doing something, and we are not aware what it is at all. Why? How? What's all this about? There is some power within us of light of consciousness which cannot be altered or cannot be suppressed, as it is said, cannot be diminished. That intent of the divine manifestation in us is so mighty and so powerful, can face all the obstacles. And the greater the obstacles, the more powerful is the spur. There was once, most probably I mentioned this before, Nikolai Rerik, maybe you heard of him. He was the painter and the mystic who was in the Himalayas for 5 years in expedition, and he originated the whole Agni Yoga. And the principle of that Agni Yoga was that we have to generate a lot of Agni within ourselves before the sun is arriving, because when the sun comes, we have to be of fiery nature, not to be destroyed. This is kind of very Vedic in a way. And he had a very beautiful kind of statement. Did you learn to welcome the obstacles? Because when obstacles arrive, we have the capacity, the higher capacity to face them, That's where the drive is. Anyhow, I will stop here. We will take next time another hymn. Let me close with the mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Namaste.